welcome to another episode of Kingdom Talks, and I'm here again with my resident co-host Tyler. What's up, homie?
What up, bro?
How you been? Good. I'm excited about this week's episode, and I'm very excited about the great response we got on our last episode. We talked about what we talked about, and that's
If you haven't heard, you gotta go back and listen.
warfare stuff.
We already listen. It was so good. We're already planning part 2.
Yeah, that's where I was getting at. So there is a part 2 coming in the foreseeable future. We just don't know exactly when.
Hopefully sooner than later, because that will.
Yeah, for sure. That one was definitely good. But we do have a semi-live audience today.
Semi.
We got less people today, but still a live audience. So it's nice to actually talk to people while we're doing this. So it's been cool. So before we get into it, just remind you guys to check out the YouTube channel because we are trying to build that from the ground up. I am seeing some subscribers on there, so just keep on pouring in with the YouTube stuff. We really do appreciate that. Cashapp is also available at Kingdom Talks. If ever are led to just donate whatever you're led to do to donate, I should say, just to build a kingdom. Other announcements, Tyler?
I don't know. It's your podcast. I'm just here.
Man, you're a co-host too. I need you to help me, bruh.
I would say if you know an episode is really good, share it with somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
Share it.
Don't forget to share. Obviously, in the YouTube, subscribe, hit that notification bell.
I'm a little hesitant to share it with my family, to be honest. I love how I say it. It's like, oh, go ahead and share it, and I'm the first one going, yeah, I'm not sharing that with my family.
I don't want my family
because
to know what I'm talking about.
It was one of those things where, especially my grandfather, whom I love dearly, and he's like the one person in the family I can really talk theology with.
Yeah.
He would have a lot of issues with some of the things that we say.
Yeah.
He's hardcore type of conservative, old school.
Yeah.
So half the
my
things
grandfather's
that we talk
kind of my grandfather's kind of the same way, where he's an old timer, right? Respectfully, and old timers are just set in their ways. But he loves what I do. He knows that I do what I do at church and outside of church, so he's definitely encouraging, and he'll have his side comments. I'm sure your grandfather too will have his tidbits. He has his tidbits of wisdom and knowledge that he wants to share.
Oh, plenty of wisdom, plenty of knowledge.
If he's similar to my grandfather,
and just I want to talk about it, but I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah. No, it's all good, but yeah, we're here, and it's another episode 6. Episode 6 already, bro.
You officially have to count in 2 hands.
We officially got to count them in 2 hands. So it's been a blessing, and we just got to shout out Pedro for just allowing us to do it here. He's been an incredible host, an incredible supporter, friend, brother, all the above. So shout out
from the beginning.
Yeah, from the very, very beginning, he believed in the vision. He believed in what I had to say, and to just really share with the masses, with people who were willing to listen. And he kind of just affirmed the fact that everybody has an audience, especially now in 2021, where everybody's on a platform, everybody's on social media, and I just want to utilize the platform in a God-honoring way. And he kind of just encouraged me to do that, because social media can get pretty treacherous, man, and it can be. I've taken sabbaticals where I took a break from. You're currently still on a break, right?
Break, bro. I'm done. There is zero.
Never
plan.
say never, bro.
No. As of this moment, there is not a single plan for me to actually get back to social media in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
And I am.
That's a bold statement.
So okay with that,
and that's awesome, dude. That is such.
It's great to when you hear when people talk. Oh, did you see him? Nope.
Yeah.
Nope, I don't. And do I care? No, I really don't.
But I have taken, absences.
Yeah.
Or what do the people? What do people call it now? A detox, a social media detox.
Is it? I don't know.
Actual thing.
Maybe just because I've always been in the church. It's like I'm taking a fast.
People fast social media, and I've done that too. But I also, in my own power or will, I wasn't following a church trend by any sorts when I fasted social media. But I've taken breaks. I've taken literally 3 months off at one point in my and it feels good actually, because you're not always behind a screen and you're not always scrolling. And
I can live in the moment.
You can live in a moment, and social media is not dictating how you're going to approach your day. And you're not going to have that FOMO.
Oh, man. I saw that one person post that one picture. They're on vacation.
On stuff.
Yada, yada. It's like, no, I just get to live my life and get to live with people around me as soon as I walk in the door. So I'm very okay with just not being on it.
That's awesome.
Honestly, it's honestly like, it's the best feeling. So
more power to you.
Listen, if you thought about it, do it. Do it. You won't regret it in any way, shape, or form. Because I don't regret it at all.
Yeah, I mean, I support that, man. As a friend, as a brother in Christ, I definitely support that, bro. So, do you, bro? Do you?
Appreciate that, bro.
But anyway, so as we get into our episode, just kind of want to take 30 seconds just to thank the viewership, YouTube, and to thank the listeners that are listening in Spotify and Apple Podcasts. I've been getting a lot of notifications and little analytical notifications, and you guys are actually tuning in, and I was just like, wow, I'm almost shocked, but not at the same time, because I know this is all God. I'm not that good, but I really do appreciate everyone that's tuning in on the Spotify and Apple platforms, as well as the YouTube, so thank you guys. And again, if you want to share, if anything resonates in your heart, just share it with a friend. A share does go a long way, especially if it's going to liberate and empower someone. And that's the purpose of these conversations, is getting into the conversations and also just sharing them. Because you never know, it might just change someone's perspective on a certain topic, and it's empowering.
And say, well, to empower you a little bit, dude, you're using your influence in a God-honoring way. And it's so cool, and so cool to see, like, you do have a massive outreach. Yeah. You are popular on social media. That's, not that it's like, oh man, like I have 23,000 followers or whatever, whatever it may be. Yeah, but you're using that for an amazing purpose. Yeah. God gave you influence. He gave, because influence, I mean, really, realistically, nowadays, influence is power. The more influence you have, really kind of how the way people see is the more power you have. Right. And you have an influence, you have a power, and you're using that for something way greater than yourself. So, good job, bro.
Thank you. And
keep going.
And
Don't stop.
I'm gonna keep on going, man. Keep on going. And I can't do this by myself, obviously. So I got you to thank and Caleb to thank, and everybody behind the scenes. So shout outs to Mike Griffin, Caleb, Zeke. I know Zeke has always been supportive. He's always hitting me up. And
Zeke, you gotta be on an episode, bro.
I know Zeke
gotta be on an episode.
He could have been, but it's just that unfortunately he's working nights, and the way our schedules conflict, unfortunately we can't get him on the pod. But that's soon to change, he told me. So we might get Zeke behind the mic.
Now,
so
I'm excited now. Let's go. Let's go.
On the things that
he'll bring this to a whole new level.
Oh, absolutely. He's an incredible communicator. That's what he does.
He literally is a professional communicator.
Yeah, he's a professional communicator. He takes on speaking engagements all over South Florida. So shout out to Zeke. I love you, bro. I know you're listening, and we'll get you on the pod really, really, really soon. But without further ado, we're going to talk about entitlement, bro. How do you feel about that? And this is a working title, so by the time you listen to this, it might be the title, it might not, but right now the working title to this episode is...
this conversation goes.
Yeah. So this working title is called Entitlement in This New Generation.
How
do you feel about that?
Well, first off, I'm not going to start anywhere except pointing at myself, going, I have totally been entitled.
You're not kidding.
I have, assumed it's like, oh, just because I have this, it is my right. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh man, I've already been around that block. I've already been down that path. Yeah, I'm above that or this and that. Like, oh, I already deserve this because
Yeah.
Bro, we don't deserve Jack Dilly's squad. Can I just say that right now?
Yeah, we don't deserve
anything. Anything at all. I'm trying my best not to just immediately dive into the deep theology of it, just right out of the gate and scare people. But it's, how do I want to say this? Basically, just get off your high horse.
Absolutely,
everyone get off your high horse. Like,
and that sucks with us.
If you're sitting up there, get down. Yeah, and I got slapped off mine. So
I got pretty hit with mine in very different areas on my life and on my journey walk, and it all started the minute I got saved. And I started, when you get saved, especially when you get saved in your like when you're a young adult, because I got saved when I was a young adult. I didn't grow up in the church, as some of you already know. And when you're in that Christian bubble,
it's different.
And you just kind of start knowing people and start rubbing elbows with certain people and on certain platforms in certain churches, you start feeling this sense of like, yo, I'm the man. I know people. I know people of influence. I know people of power. I deserve this. I deserve that.
Oh, yeah.
And I think it's a cultural thing too, because prior to that, I remember this gentleman, I forget his name, but he was from the UK and born, raised there. He only was living here for a couple of months, and he's like, you Americans make me laugh sometimes. And he said it respectfully. He was like, you guys just walk like your crap don't stink, and you're entitled, and you're whiners and you cry babies when you don't get your way. And I was like, dag, that's coming from a person that doesn't even live here. So I can just imagine on the other side of the pond how people view our generation.
We're the laughing stock of the world. Let's just be honest.
Yeah, I mean, people say what they say about Western culture and American society and stuff like that, and it is a cultural thing, especially now in 2021 and the generation coming before us. Because I'm old enough to remember that it wasn't like that, because I went to school pre-social media. I was in high school and the cell phones were just coming on.
I was about to say, like, we grew up with the advent and the evolution of technology.
Right.
Fun fact, there are a lot of us today that are older than the internet. And that I think just blows people's minds.
That is correct. And
because
it's actually a crazy thought. It's a crazy thought.
Because like I look back on I look back in my life and knowing that like when I was growing up, not everyone had a cell phone, right? Like I remember when pages were a thing. Like I remember it's like the only way that you talked in class is if you had to pass a note and had to risk the teacher going, all right, you have to read it to the class.
I remember those days.
And of course you were trying to pass to that cute girl that you wanted to talk to. It's like, do you like me? Yes or no? And they'd always make a third box like, definitely not.
or the maybe box. I remember I get a maybe boxes.
Dude, you got a maybe?
Yeah.
Bro, I got nothing but no's. It's fun.
It's like, why a maybe box? Like, why? What does that even mean?
Mental thing. It's a they play. It's confirmed. They play games. It's confirmed. We just had it confirmed for us live on the air.
I mean, they started off young playing games with us.
That's just not right.
That's not even right.
This is not right.
You girls are bad. Some wild girls.
But yeah, it's like we like there because when we were younger, there was none of that technology.
Absolutely not.
Right? Like, I mean, it's the running joke of like we had dirt and sticks to play with, and we were happy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
There was manhunt, freeze tag.
When we went out, like you had to you played as long as you could, and then like as soon as it got dark, you had to like kind of start listening for like your mom.
My dad's whistle.
Like, my mom would be like,
who knows?
Like, I mean, you could hear like from the opposite side of the neighborhood, people be like, I was about to say something. I can't repeat what they said about it. But
or the dad whistle. You know the dad whistle, right? The dad whistle.
Oh yeah. Oh, especially my dad.
My dad's whistle would ring bells, bro. Like you could hear it like 3 blocks down, and I'm like, I'll go over to my brother, and be like, "Yo, that's Pops. We gotta go. We gotta go."
My dad would.
Yeah.
Because if anyone's met my dad was on the radio for a long time, professional communicator. He's a big dude.
I met your dad.
He's louder than me.
Big grizzly bear.
He's a Sasquatch. He's a human Sasquatch. In fact, in my phone, he's literally called Papa Squatch. In my phone.
Are you serious?
Every time I'm like, Papa Squatch. Papa Squatch is calling me. In fact, a couple people at church now call him Papa Squatch.
I would never call him Papa Squatch.
He's a gentle giant teddy bear. But like, yeah, that's when you knew you had to come home. Yeah. It's like, it's time for me to go. Yeah. But now it's like, now you have kids who like, they, when they're 2, know how to operate an iPad.
Yeah.
Know how to open an iPad. Know how to, use a phone. And it's like,
my niece is 3 and she's operating literally an iPad. Like, she knows the YouTube icon. She presses the YouTube. She hates ads, by the way. She starts screaming and crying whenever there's an ad.
We're starting them young.
You're supposed to hate this. And Paw Patrol's not on. And I'm like, sweetheart, it's an ad. And she's looking at me like, well, what the heck's an ad? And it's just crazy.
You know what?
At 3 years old, thing. At 3 years old, so I feel like this is like a question for the pod. Is the internet and just technology, because we live in big tech era, technology, social media, are we breeding entitled?
2 words. No duh.
Yeah, it's like
because think about it, right? We were talking about the evolution of technology, right? Before, it's like, man, if you wanted a pizza, you had to call them and be like, "Yo,
you had to put in work."
Yeah, like, you had to go above and beyond. But now, now you don't have to say a word to anybody. You just put in your phone and it magically comes in 20 minutes. I mean, we were talking about getting pizza not 20 minutes ago,
right?
And I was like, it actually sounds good. Like, I kind of want to throw in. I just want to order it right now on my phone.
Like, I literally have a DoorDash app in my phone, programmed on my phone. It's ridiculous.
But because before it was you had to wait for it. You had to have patience.
Yeah.
Amazon Prime, anybody? Next day delivery? We have the sense of just because I want it, I'm entitled to it. It is my right to have it. I deserve to have it simply because I want it. Yeah. Simply because I want it.
Yeah.
And I think that perpetuates beyond just products. It's from our relationships,
absolutely, to
how
school.
we view the world. Even kids nowadays. Actually, here's a fun little tidbit, and I learned this and it blew my mind. So there was a study done amongst it was younger. It was late teens, early 20s. It was a group of people, right? They took a study to multiple schools all over the world. They did a school in Kingdom, and there was a school, a couple schools in Europe. And then there was a school in Japan, and there was a school in America. Mm-hmm. And the reaction to how they were because they basically all these students were given a really tough problem that they all had to solve together. They all had to do it, right? And so in America, here's really what happened. In America, the class probably put about 20 minutes into it, and then they said, "Okay, well, what's the answer?" In Europe, they try to work at it, but then after a while, they're okay. We don't really get it. In the Japanese school, they did not once ask for help. Everyone worked, and they worked multiple days into the problem because they wanted to. Because they know
how to outsource things. They know how to use their resources. They're very resourceful people, and I love Japanese culture. I mean, my whole entire arm is Japanese art. I dedicated a sleeve.
I mean, not that it means much. My aunt is from Japan, so
okay, yeah. But I just love that. I was always fascinated with that culture.
Oh yeah, I love the
Japanese culture. Is
so fascinating.
Fascinating.
Yeah. I want to go there for vacation. Just spend a week there and just enjoy it.
Their culture's looking at us like, yo, who do they think they are?
but think about that. Within 20 minutes, the American students are like, no, what is it?
What is it? What's the answer?
And then you have this other group of students that will literally not ask for help, but just want to figure out, not stop until they figure it out, they get it.
Yeah.
And it's that North American mentality that has just permeated, and unfortunately, the advent of technology and companies and all this stuff has really just kind of set and made a cesspool of just entitlement and making it I just deserve this because I want it.
Right.
I want this, and
it's bleeding in every areas of our culture, in schools, in sports, in youth sports. It's what is going on?
Because when going back to when we were younger, right? It's you had a losing team and a winning team.
Now everybody's getting a trophy.
Everyone gets a participation trophy.
Why is everybody getting a trophy, my G? What's really good?
Everyone's a winner. Yo, you're setting those kids up for failure.
Bro. They're going to come into a rude awakening when you realize you're not that good and you need to work to get to places.
Well, when we were growing up, when we were growing up, we had this mentality of, hey, you can be whatever you want. You want to be a princess? You can do it.
Yeah.
You want to go to space? You can. By the way, I'm a space nerd, and I was like, I want to go to space. I want to be an astronaut. Sorry, my dreams are shattered when I realized I'm too dang tall. But if I would have just kept going at it, it's no, because they said if you just work hard, if you just keep going, it's if you have it, you can dream it, you can do it. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, but the same time, it's not entitled.
Right.
You don't just deserve that. You still have to go and work hard for it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do nowadays to fix the fact that I'm not going to space anytime soon because, again, I am still too dang tall for any type of spacecraft.
Right.
So, unfortunately, I'm stuck here on Earth.
Yeah, but that is a scary thought. I mean, I was thinking about it too. Like, it's like, because I was kind of like pondering that thought. Like, American culture is breeding these entitled little creatures.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I know so and so I deserve this, or because I know this and this and that, I'm gonna get this,
now
or I'm gonna be in this.
Chasing.
Now it's the cloud chasing, and if I know so and so that can get me.
Oh man, I met him one time at that one place. Oh man, yeah, we're best buds.
Yeah.
Like,
and meanwhile,
and it's like, okay, well, have him show up.
Yeah.
It's like, right. Like, have him show up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, like, I mean, I guess, this is me personally. I don't really care for, like, celebrities.
Right.
Any type of that.
And now,
it's like the popular thing. I'm like...
and now celebrities looked at different, too. Be like, now YouTube influencers are celebrities now. It's, like, crazy. Like, these YouTube influencers, it's insane, like, how everybody feels like they deserve a platform because they can get on behind a computer, behind...
I mean, we can do it right now. I could literally, like... I mean, if I had social media, it's like, I could go make an Instagram post and, like, just try to get more followers, more eyes on me. And it's like, oh, man, I deserve it because I made a really cool post.
Right.
No.
Yeah. And it's like, I should be sponsored by XYZ company because I'm this person.
Because I'm that.
And I actually know this person that co-signed me that I...
And people...
It's just... it's getting pretty insane in our culture, and so I want to ask the question as to how is it bleeding into the church? Can we talk about that? Are you ready to talk about that?
All right, hold on. Everyone who knows me who's listening to this is now screaming at their phone or their computer, going, "Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't do
but
it! Don't do it!"
I am here for
Here's
it.
Here's the thing.
And
I went to school for this, so I can't help but think about this. All right. So here's unfortunately how it goes, and now I'm going to, before I start, I'm looking at the camera and saying this. I am not talking about any particular church. I'm not talking about any particular organization. So if you feel like I'm talking about you, it's not you. That being said.
And that being said, if the shoe fits,
with
wear it, man.
With all of that being said,
if the shoe fits, wear it.
The worldly influence in the culture is unfortunately not just infiltrating the church; it's taking over and it's destroying it from the inside.
Preach it, bro.
And here's the thing, and again, I'm not saying not do, like, it's like if you want to do the newest and coolest thing, listen, you do you, boo boo. Like, if you feel like it's going to bring people in, you can say, and you can like help bring people in to help save their souls or love on them that way. Do it. I'm behind it 110%. Like, I mean, it's kind of like, it's almost like TikTok, right? Where it's like everyone, yes, I know what TikTok is. It's like, when there's a popular sound, everyone does the same trend, right? Everyone does the trend. Like, of course, some people may have a little variation here, a little variation there, but unfortunately, it's like, I feel like churches nowadays feel like they have to do that to stay relevant, and here's the thing. When I was in school, one of the things they taught us was like, hey, the church, it's like, obviously our relationship when Jesus came, like, started a few thousand years ago, it's so like, so one of the questions that's constantly asked is, how does the church stay relevant? How is the church able to keep up with now, as we talked about earlier, with the social media and technology, like the really always quickly changing, like, ways of the world, and how can the church keep up with that in a way that they can kind of stay relevant without falling behind? Because unfortunately, again, this is not digging anybody, but like, that's unfortunately what a lot of like Catholic people kind of face is like, the Catholic faith has been around for
ever,
thousands of years.
This is like,
and unfortunately, many conversations that people have about it is like, how is the Catholic Church staying relevant when almost nothing has changed in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. But now you have like the younger churches and the more non-denominational, independent churches. They constantly are fighting this battle of how can we be part of this?
Right.
Of course, that the Bible verse. It's like, God calls us to be in the world, not of the world.
Yeah.
So it's like, unfortunately, I think that churches kind of take that sometimes to 12, 13, 14 because they think, oh, we need to stay relevant with this to be able to even get people in the door.
But I think that compromises.
It absolutely does
the message.
It can. I think if it's done in the right way, it can do wonders. It can absolutely, like, there are a lot of churches out there who honestly, like, do not compromise on the message of Christ, that do not compromise on, like, what the actual gospel is truly about.
Right.
Without, like, compromising, like, oh, it's okay this. They're like, hey, we're gonna do the newest and coolest thing. Like, hey, we'll, like, we'll all wear, like, like the reds, whatever. We'll still accept you for who you are, but then they won't compromise on the message.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, a lot of times they go hand in hand of, if we do this, they'll compromise to just bring more people in, because unfortunately now it's kind of driven more towards numbers.
Yeah.
It's driven more towards just try and bring people in. And that's not necessarily bad. Again, I'm not saying this in a way of attacking the church. I love the church. I love the church.
Yeah.
I went to school for it. If I wasn't about it, I wouldn't be.
Yeah. But I feel like some of these, just with conversations that I've had with other peers of mine that go to different churches, not necessarily Anchor, but just because I know a lot of people. I lived here long enough. I lived here long enough in South Florida to know a lot of people.
Yeah.
And when we talk about this conversation, it's like, yeah, I think, and especially some of the leaders in their respected churches, they have that same conversation. Like, yo, we're dealing with entitlement. Like, that problem is a real thing. Entitlement is a real, especially the young cats coming up. They don't know any better. They think they know it all just because they went to a certain school.
Hey, I was young, dumb, and 25 once, thinking I knew the whole world.
And then, unfortunately, some of the higher ups in the church oversee that, and then they start giving platforms and responsibilities to those who have that entitlement, and then they come across a certain way with people that are just walking in through those doors, and they're like, "Yo, who is this guy?"
Yeah,
because they just, when you can spot an entitled person from at least I know I can. I can spot them from a mile away, and it's like, yo, who is this guy? Like, that one guy or gal that walks in the room, thinks that they own the place because they are walking with this certain posture. Because
if there wasn't a child here, I'd say something else.
Yeah, we got children in here, so we
gotta keep PG, guys.
Because you could be a wild.
I'm gonna keep 100, but I'm gonna keep it PG.
But
I gotta laugh out of that one.
but it's true. Like, and like, what is there? Like, so my question is, and it kind of just leads into a question, and it leads into a dialogue, right? So the question is, how is it something that we can resolve or fix, or is it something that we're just going to constantly deal with? I think
it's a little bit of both.
I think so too.
I think it's a little bit of both. Because here's the thing: you'll never find true balance in anything. I don't think so. I think you can, but I think now with the way that the world is, and just kind of like, unfortunately, all the cultures that we have to deal with, and even the cultures that people bring in from the outside, because unfortunately, I don't say unfortunately, that's I'm sorry, I retract my previous statement, but when you have just a group of people, you're gonna have multiple cultures. I mean, we were talking about it earlier. She's not even from this country. And she's like, oh, I do things differently. I think things different way. Well, it's the same thing when you have a church, which is just a community of people who believe in something. Yeah. So I'm not trying to assume certain things, but like when you have a community of people like that, you're going to have influences being brought in from all different walks of life.
Yeah, and there's going to be more friction too.
Yes, and I mean, and sometimes, and here's the thing: friction can be good.
Yeah.
Pushback can be good.
Absolutely.
But like I said, I think if it's done in a responsible, in loving way, then I think you have something. Now, I think the church will always have that battle of how do we stay relevant? How are we able to to be able to bring in more people? Because we are called, the Great Commission, we are called to go make disciples of all nations, teaching them everything that Jesus created. It's the great, as he was ascending into heaven, he's saying, hey, go.
Yeah.
And so, for us, it's like, go and make disciples of all nations.
Yeah.
Right? And so, we can use our influence. We can use, what the abilities that God gave us to bring people in, because that's what he gave us, to be able to do that. And so, but I think in the way that the church does it, I think as long as it's always from a God-honoring, Jesus-chasing way, I don't think then that'll ever be a problem.
And I think everybody has a responsibility too, just as much as the follower and the disciple. I think people in leadership roles have to have some responsibility too, and say, okay, how can we consult and humble these people? Mm-hmm. Because I was humbled when you were knocked out of your pedestal, you were humbled.
Yo, I was humbled last week.
and when I got knocked off of my high horse, like you said earlier, it was a humbling experience, and I got back. They in a sense they knocked me into my senses and made me realize some things, and definitely helped me along my way and along my journey. And I'm like, okay, well, I definitely got to work on that, and doing life with older people, especially those who you respect and those who you give that medal of honor, if you will. You respect that man because that man's been through it.
That man's been through it. He knows it. He's kind of they are where you want to be.
So as much as my responsibility it is to listen, I think it's on the other side of that coin is their responsibility to not be afraid to knock people off their high horse, because now we live in this PC culture where I'm afraid to say something to these kids because it's going to come off the wrong way, or
unfortunately,
so we got to teeter in that fine line where let's have dialogue. Let's start there. We got to start somewhere. Why not start with having dialogue, right?
So I'm doing my best not to just go on a rant and get in trouble.
If it's going to be a long-winded thing, it's okay. We got an hour.
Well, no, I need more than an hour. And everyone I know is going, please God, no, don't let him do that. I will say this. There can be a lot of times in church cultures, especially in church cultures. And the only reason I feel like I can kind of talk on that is because I've been able, I've been a part of a lot of inside churches. I've been part of very small churches.
Yeah,
where,
me too.
The average age is the average size. I've also been part of massive,
what people will consider a mega church.
An over the top mega church. But I've also been kind of the average churches where there's a couple thousand people, where there's decent size.
Yeah.
Right? And so I've been able to see a lot of different type of cultures. I don't want to even say that. What I kind of want to say is this. Unfortunately, I think there are times where everyone, all they see is the vertical when the people need to see the horizontal. And it's not, and here's the thing, it's actually biblically correct to have a kind of a vertical setup of a church. Where it's you have the pastor at the top, whatever. But here's something that let me give people somewhat of an insight to how at least some churches work. This is not every church.
Okay? Yeah.
Again, I'm not representing any type of organization, anything like that. Again, I'm legally saying that out loud so everyone knows.
Yeah.
All right, because this is just from my experiences and also things that I've studied. Because I am studying into church cultures and kind of understanding the deeper meaning behind all that.
Yeah. What
a lot of churches are doing nowadays to be able to keep accountability, humbleness in the church. Okay, now a lot of younger churches. Okay, I'm saying younger, more modern, churches that are non-denominational for the most part. Okay, context clues here.
Yeah.
What they'll do is they'll have they'll have a head pastor. They'll have a head pastor.
Right.
But behind the scenes, they'll have a council. A church council.
Yeah, just like a company having an operational manager.
Yes. So it's either a council or they'll have both councils and then elders. A lot of times the council is made up of the elders.
Right.
So I know for a couple of churches, I actually know a lot of elders of different churches. And so, I've been able to kind of know this. Because, yes, you have the pastor who looks after the flock, who's in charge of it, who's in charge of like leading and feeding both of the staff and the congregation and all that other stuff, right? And to keep him accountable, the council or the elders hold power over the pastor. And a lot of people were like, well, isn't he in charge? Well, yes and no. Because to keep himself accountable, or themselves, I won't say him, I won't say them, because theologically I believe that women can be pastors too, but again, now I can't share this with my grandfather because he and I differ on that topic.
Yeah.
But whoever the pastor is, they are held accountable by the elders. And the elders actually have the power to remove the pastor if they feel like he's hurting the church, or he's morally compromised, or this or that. And so their main job, the main job like the elders, is to really oversee the church as a whole, right? They may or may not have direct influence. Now, some churches mix it up. They have certain people who are pastors of other churches.
Right.
They also have people who are very spiritually very far along in life who don't go to church, who don't go to the church. So they bring an outside perspective.
Do you think that's where they fail, though? Because isn't that where where you're giving certain positions to certain people?
So now if it was a more of a direct position in a church, like someone directly on staff, yes. Yeah. For an elder type of position, it can be beneficial. I'm saying it can because it doesn't always work that way. Again, we're all human. We all fail. No church is perfect. Okay.
Right.
I'm going to say it once, say it 1,000 times. There's no perfect church. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not perfect. No elder's perfect. But I think if done in the right way, that can be beneficial to the growth and direction of the church. Now, a lot of times, or majority of the time, yes, the elders attend the church that they will attend.
Yeah.
And now the elders most of the time, the elders are supposed to be people who are more spiritually ahead in life. Like not even just age-wise, but spiritually very ahead. And technically, in some terms, it's supposed to be beyond the pastor. Mm-hmm. Is that always true? Depends who you talk to, and there's a debate. There's a debate behind that.
Yeah,
you can kind of talk about whatever you want with that. But I think that is one of the things that churches do to help combat, this sense of entitlement.
Yeah.
We actually call it like when I was in school, we called it like the yes culture.
Yeah.
Right? Where it's like no matter what, like the pastor says, you have to say this.
Yeah.
Even if it's like going to be detrimental to the entire staff, a lot of times you'll find people just want to say yes because all they want to do is have more influence.
Yeah.
Is have more entitlements. Because they think it's like, oh, I've been here for so many years, so like I'm just entitled for it. You can't have that.
Yeah.
You just can't have that. And so having a council full of elders is a good way to start, at least from the top down, because a lot of times, especially in church cultures, culture trickles from the top down.
It does.
It does.
And even outside of church, like in corporate America,
because
starts
nowadays churches are run like not every church. Again, this is not a blanket statement.
Yeah.
But a lot of times churches are run like businesses. And here's the thing: it's in the modern day, in the North American modern day in the church, the way that the churches want their culture or want their church to be run is in a very not political, in a very business-like manner,
right?
Because if again, in the way they want the church run,
right?
And I say that in context because you can have a house church and not own a single piece of equipment, and you can have the Holy Spirit move, and you can do amazing things.
Absolutely.
I know there's a church in actually in Charlton Charlotte, wrong town. In Charlotte, it's a house church of 15 people.
Yeah.
They don't. It's not that they're not inclusive. It's just they don't feel a need to do this or need to do that. It's like they meet in corporate worship to study the Word, and then they donate money to anytime they hear someone needing help. Like they help a person out, they raise money and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
That's what they do. Mm-hmm. So that's why I say in the way that churches want to be run nowadays, or at least how a lot of younger folks, our generation, sees the church.
Right.
That's how it's run, because churches can be anything from like, I think it's in Orlando actually. Mm-hmm. There's a church that they have no building, they have no worship team, they don't even have a pastor. all they do is they meet, they do a Bible study, and then what they do is they go pick up drunk people and bring them home. Yeah. And that's literally their church. Yeah. That's all they do. Yeah. That is their church. So, in the way that a lot of people know the church to be, or how people want to have the church to be, you kind of have to run it as they believe you have to run it a certain way. And now, again, it's not going to work. Now, you can't. Now, you also have to remember, you can't take a church, blueprint and take it from one city and place to another. Right. Yeah. Because remember, you have to remember location.
Yeah, it's all relative.
The cultures, like it's like if we were to take a church down here, I'm not going to say the church name, but like if there's a big church down here, if you were to take this church and put it
in North Dakota somewhere,
put it someplace random, Michigan, it wouldn't survive. I'm not saying it wouldn't do good; it just wouldn't survive the way that they currently are going. Right. Because remember, they have a certain way of doing it. Because
they cater to a certain demographic and audience.
Exactly. Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of times they let the world's influence kind of creep in. Yeah. And that's where it starts to kind of corrupt the churches from the inside. Yeah. And I'm not saying any of these people are bad. I'm not saying any of these churches are bad. They don't do good. No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying, unfortunately, that does happen. And it, unfortunately, is kind of increasing at a rate that's actually kind of alarming.
And I think thriving churches are doing it the way you kind of so eloquently described it. And it
that was eloquence? Hey, dude, you need to listen to more people.
And but it starts at the top, doesn't it? I truly, many times, 9 times out of 10, I think with even, like, let's just take church out of the equation. In any
CEOs.
In any field, it always starts at the top. Yeah. And it always starts with people holding accountability and responsibility and knowing your role. Because isn't it such a powerful thing when you are taught your role and then you know your role and then you do your role well? I feel that us as a generation that are kind of like leading the new generation, we have to kind of set that tone, right? I feel like we're responsible to set that tone and we can just leave it up to the elders, right? Because we're becoming the elders as we age, right? So we have a responsibility to do. We're
Listen, I'm already old. I don't need to be reminded.
We have to be held responsible for kind of bringing it into the new generation. Like, hey, this is where these roles fit. This is where we see you fit, and learn.
It's important that we leave behind a good legacy.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like legacy is so important. Legacy is so important, and it should be in the fiber of your church. Wherever church you go to, like if you are...
Or even in your professional life.
Or even in your professional life. Like, legacy is so important. Like, if you are a writer or some type of creative, I got mad love for creatives. I love my creatives. That's my community. I love... You and I have a passion for that community because creatives have a certain way of thinking, a certain way of doing things.
Very different.
And we can be entitled. We can have that sense of entitlement, and we need to be gut-checked.
Hello, guilty.
Yeah, guilty as charged.
I'm starting right here.
Guilty as charged. And I think it starts with you, but then after that, it starts with surrounding yourself with the right people to hear the right voices. Because when you start listening to the wrong voices and you surround yourself with yes men, it's going to give you the wrong perspective on how the world works and how the world operates, that you're going to walk in a space, walk in a place, and look like a complete fool because people are going to look at you like, dude, what are you talking about?
But isn't that the culture nowadays where it's like people just want to hear what they want to hear?
And people just want to hear themselves talk. And not everybody.
As we're sitting here on a podcast.
But hey, listen, not every... I just personally feel like not everybody is built for getting behind a platform, a mic, a computer, a phone.
No, don't do it.
Nobody's built for this. And why do you think, like, me and Pedro had this conversation a while ago, like, I was sitting on this idea of a podcast since 2015, bro, because I just felt like I can't do this.
Didn't we talk about this time last year too?
And we talked about this time last year, and I was like, I don't know if I'm capable of. I don't know if my voice is the right voice for me to project a message or to even start dialogue with my peers and beyond.
And I think you went about it the right way because you went to so many people.
I did.
And here's the thing. You were just like, look, I have this idea. What do you think? It was never about, hey, be in this project. You were very cautious with it. It's like, should I even do this?
Yeah.
I remember that we had that conversation. We were on our way to Disney.
Yep.
Disney days.
Yeah.
But we went to Disney, and you were like, I don't know. And I remember just like bouncing ideas off you.
Yeah, I spoke with my mentor about it. I spoke with Pedro, obviously, about it. I spoke with you. I even spoke with Pastor Sean after it was coming to fruition. And I just said to Pastor Sean, hey, man, this is what I'm doing. You're a great influence of mine, and I just want to do it. Am I doing this the right way? Am I doing it to God?
He's like, should I even do this?
And should I even do it? And Sean says, listen, if God gave you a vision, God gave you a dream,
Amen.
like, just be obedient and just do it.
Yeah.
And like how Pastor Sean says it, crush it. Just crush it. And so I did it. And here I am, 6 episodes deep, but not, people are not, and everybody's going to have haters. Of course, but you're not going to please everybody. But for the most part, it's been a good response, and people are saying, "Hey, bro, you're doing such a phenomenal job. Hey, bro, you're doing a great job."
And I also think that speaks to your heart and where you're coming from,
right?
Because like I said earlier, you have a platform, you have an influence that you have been using for good, and you did it from the right place.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, a lot of times our generation with entitlement thinks like, I just want to be big, I just want to be famous, I just want to be this. I never want to be famous. I don't ever want anyone to know who I am.
Yeah.
That scares the living daylights out of me. I actually was told, I'm not propping myself or tooting my own horn. I've had people be like, oh, you're going to be a celebrity pastor one day. I said, I rebuke that in the name of Jesus Christ, because there are so many reasons why I don't want that.
Oh,
First off,
gosh.
I should not be looked at that way.
Yeah.
I know I've done so many bad things. It's like, yes, I know God's going to use me,
right.
But the last place I want to be is
it's just not your heart. It's just not your heart.
Because I don't want that. I don't want that. I don't care for it. I do not care.
Yeah.
In North Side Generation, unfortunately, people put such an emphasis on want to be popular, I want to make just make money, be out there.
Yeah, they want to be the latest and greatest,
and they never understand.
And isn't it funny? Isn't it funny too? Like, everything's the latest and greatest now. The latest and greatest device, the latest and greatest game, the latest and greatest gear.
For people who aren't seeing it, I just keep my mic on.
But it's everything the latest and greatest car, phone. If you're an Apple if you're an Apple user, the latest and greatest iPhone, the latest and greatest Mac.
Galaxies for life, by the way.
It's like the latest and greatest clothes, like the threads that we wear. Again, we're speaking mainly on American culture, but we're speaking what we live. This is where we live, and it's getting to a point where the questions are raised, like, "Yo, what are we doing?" And I feel that it starts with us, and it starts with holding people accountable, but also being responsible with the roles that you're given.
Absolutely.
Like, whatever role that you're given, take responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? If you have to seek wisdom, do it. If you have to ask questions, do it. If you need help mentally, spiritually, physically, or all the above, go ahead and do it, man. Don't walk into places where you feel that you need to know everything, because guess what, ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to know everything. And guess what? It's okay to say I don't know, because there was a time and place in my life where it bothered me not to know things. It just literally bothered me. I hated saying I don't know, and it just became so overwhelming.
And do you think that comes from a place where we do feel entitled, where we have that pride? It's like, if you say the words "I don't know," then it's like oh man, I don't know. Oh man, I'm a failure at life, and I look terrible in front of these people. But it's like, it should be all about me.
Right?
Do you think it could be from that type of place where
it can be?
It's like you just don't. It's like
it can be.
To be honest, I don't know.
Yeah,
to be honest,
and it's okay to not know, and it's okay when someone asks you for certain things, or they're just kind of confiding in you. It's okay to just listen, because 9 times out of 10, that's all they really need.
Yeah,
is someone to just listen to what they need to say. If they're going through a problem, a crisis, or whatever, it's just to listen. You don't have to have all the answers.
But as you say,
laid out.
People just want to hear themselves talk.
Sometimes people just want to hear themselves. And I was that guy. I was that guy. I just loved to hear myself talk.
Hello, that's me. Hello.
It was a long-winded conversation, but it all had to do with what Javi needed to say, what Javi had to, his perspective, Javi's, opinions, and it became very opinionated, and then people look at me all weird, like, yo, who is this guy? He's a know-it-all, right? Yeah. And I don't want to come off that way. And again, thank God that he placed me in certain circles where I was, like you said earlier, knocked off my high horse and got humbled, and someone blessed me enough to take me around their wing and say, man, I'm gonna show you how it is to live life, and how this Christian life looks like, and how you should go about it, and things of that nature. And I think knowing that knowledge I know, I want to replicate that and reciprocate that with the ones that ask questions, and the ones that are younger than me. You know what I'm saying? The youth. Because I do have a heart for the youth, and I think the youth is our future, and we just want to.
Future? No, they're the generation of
right now, right? So we just, I feel like we're responsible to hey, if you're feeling some kind of way and you think you deserve this, guess what? You don't, bro. Sorry to burst your bubble.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna get theological. I'm gonna get biblical, right?
I think it's time for you to.
The wages of sin is death, bro. We don't deserve jack.
Yeah.
Diddly.
Yeah.
Squat.
Yeah.
We don't deserve anything.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing. We really don't deserve anything. Like, we've turned our back on God so many times. Like, of course, we can get. I mean, I could bring in the whole original sin and new sin, new Adam, old Adam. Yeah. Don't get me started. But like that whole thing, we don't deserve anything.
Yeah.
But and in case you haven't heard it, Jesus loves you, and the grace that He has is just so sufficient. It covers everything. It's like, we don't deserve grace. We don't deserve love. We don't deserve that. But how amazing of a God we serve and we love that He stands there and will continuously knock at the door. He will continuously chase us down. He will continuously continue to love us, even when we keep turning our back on Him.
Yeah.
Like, how amazing is that? Where it's like, we don't deserve that. We can't earn His love.
Yeah.
But His grace is it's not earned. It's just so freely given.
Yeah.
And then, unfortunately, it's, because even Jesus Himself was fighting against the entitlement culture, because a lot of times, especially, He really took aim at, like, the Pharisees. The Pharisees specifically,
because they were like very entitled people,
because
in a very entitled culture in that time.
Because they were like, because I'm a teacher, or I'm this, like, I deserve to just, like, waltz into your house and kind of take whatever I want, and you're just because their culture was, asked them to do a lot of, like, very, great things. So it's like, hey, if you see a traveler, you invite them into your house, sit down, clean their feet, like, serve them food.
Right.
It was a very loving and giving culture that they had, but the Pharisees abused it because they assumed because they had done some work, because they were because the Pharisees and the religious leaders of the Messianic law thought they just deserved that because that's just how their culture always was.
Right.
And Jesus came and was like, no. You're getting it all wrong.
Right.
It has nothing to do with the I. It has everything to do with them. Because even Jesus Himself didn't come to be served, but to serve.
To serve, yeah.
And for us to, and I feel like in a way for us, and especially in the church culture, for us to kind of make it about ourselves is already betraying what Christ was trying to do.
Exactly.
And here's the thing. Unfortunately, I fed into that.
Yeah. Me too.
Listen, I look back and I'm like, I kind of look at myself, I'm like, how did no one call me out?
Yeah. Or no, sooner. I felt like...
Thank you. Yes.
How come no one did call me out sooner?
But like I said earlier, the world culture is infiltrating the church, so unfortunately everyone is blind.
Right. Or they're surrounded with yes men and stuff like that, and that unfortunately kind of trickles into the equation.
Which, look, it's like, yes, we want to be together, we want to work towards the mission together.
Yeah.
100%. Listen, even Jesus had help.
Yeah. For
okay,
sure.
when He fed the 5,000, He didn't just go, okay, fish, bread, that's it.
Yeah.
No, He had the disciples distribute the miracle.
Yeah, for sure.
He Himself, He did the miracle, but He had help in making it happen. He did the actual miracle, but He had help in being able to spread that miracle.
Yeah.
And that's what we need to do. And so, like, yes, we want to have a mentality of, like, we always want to help people. We always want to be a team. 100%. Yes. Like, learn that in school. Like, yes, 110%. But when it comes to that, we should not compromise on either, like, what Jesus asked us to do.
Right. Which is serve.
Or let the culture of the world come in and corrupt the church.
Right.
Because you said earlier, we have a responsibility
we do.
to watch out for that.
Yeah.
We have a responsibility. We need to look after that. We need to be able to see that. We need to open our eyes. Because, a lot of times if you read multiple letters of the Bible, it's talking about, like, look, if the Apostle Paul wrote you a letter in the Old Testament, you done messed up. Okay? Like, if he wrote to you, and a lot of times where he's like, you are letting the culture and the teachings of, like, false teachers come in and influence the gospel.
Right.
And compromising it. Yeah. That was the one thing besides women kind of in the beginning, but that's a different podcast from another conversation.
Yeah.
The one thing he always railed against was false teachings.
Yeah.
Always. Because he knew that people were trying to come in. Because back then, especially back then, Christianity was in its infancy. Fun fact, there was no Bible.
Yeah.
There was no Bible back then. And so they would let people kind of, like, how they would do churches, like, they would open up the Word, and then someone would read it, and then they would discuss amongst themselves, like, what did this mean to me?
Yeah.
But now with Christianity, there was this guy who came, who died for you, who conquered the grave, and then said, "Hey, go make disciples."
Yeah.
Right. So now they were trying to figure out how are we to kind of integrate that? Like, how are we supposed to live? Yeah. And Paul, of course, Paul's a G, bro. But, like, Paul just, again, if he sent you a letter, you done messed up.
Yeah.
And he, when he was teaching people this, he had to be harsh about it.
Yeah.
Because it's a serious thing. You're literally compromising the word, not just the word of God. You're compromising the message and the love of Christ.
Yeah.
And that's something that cannot be, that cannot.
Yeah.
We cannot be okay with that.
And one thing that I learned too, and especially having this conversation, is you got to start serving. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to take on a whole lot, but just start somewhere. If you
stand at a door and smile, you're serving.
Yeah, because if you go into a church and you want to be part of a community, because we harp on that all the time,
because that is unbelievably important.
Yeah,
it's not even just about, oh, hey, you plugged into our church. It's about the community,
right? And it's like, and I think you said it in a previous episode, that community, even outside of the church world, is fundamentally a good thing for you, because you thrive when you do community. Whatever.
There's actually, there have been many studies done, but, like, yes, it more focused on like religious organizations, more churches, but, like, they found that people who were part of churches, who were a part of religious organizations, were happier, had better marriages, were, essentially, actually, I'm going to say this, made more money.
Yeah. Like, statistically, it showed that you were just living a better quality life.
But then, like, the community as a whole, not just the church, the actual community around them, their little geographical community, benefited from all these positive things. So, it is important that you get it. It's not just like, hey, get in a small group. Yeah. No, find a community of great believers. There's actually someone in my immediate fan group who a year ago probably wouldn't walk into a church.
Right.
Literally came and started hanging out with us, and loves hanging out because it's like, I know they admit, like, I don't really know much about, like, whatever, but, like, I'm about it, and I'm learning a lot.
Right.
And they're staying with us. Yeah. Because they want to learn more about what it is to be a Christian. What it is. And here's the thing, like, we're not.
Yeah.
We're the first ones to tell you we ain't perfect.
No one's perfect.
Are you kidding me, bro? I screwed up this morning.
Yeah. We all screw up, right? But
I messed up.
But when it comes with about the topic of entitlement, I mean, for us to really harp on the fact that okay, yeah, we do kind of deal with it because it's kind of being part of our culture now.
It really is part of our culture.
It's like now in our fiber of our culture. Let's just start.
So that guy who cut me off on my way here. He was entitled.
He
wanted that spot right in front of me.
You're right.
He wanted that spot in front of me only to slow down and turn. Good job, bro.
I know. Or the ones that you see it's turning yellow, but yet you feel like speeding up, cutting me off, overpassing me just to stop at red. That's entitlement, bro. That's like the epitome of entitlement in my book.
I mean, look. Again, we've done it. We've been a part of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like if we really want to.
Yeah, I mean, in a micro level, I think to start being the solution rather than the problem, like you said, get off your high horse. If someone knocked you off your high horse, don't feel bad. Javi's here to tell you not to feel bad and not to blame the church and not to feel that the church burnt you because they didn't. If you were knocked off your high horse because you were acting a certain kind of way on your platform that you were given, and now you're on timeout at whatever church you're going to, hey, I'm here to tell you, it's okay. Tomorrow is a brand new day. Seek wisdom, seek counsel, and keep on going to your church. If you have yourself a good community, do so. And if you don't, find one, get plugged in, because again, it's all about the voices. Hearing the right voices, being around the right people, to just kind of help the cause, right? Help to build the kingdom, because that's essentially what we're here to do, is to build the kingdom and to bring glory to his name. And if you're not doing that, you're getting in the way. So either get out of the way.
You said it last week.
You said it last week.
The kingdom, you're actively helping to destroy it.
You're actively helping to destroy it. So yeah, I mean, I think that some feathers are definitely going to be ruffled, absolutely, because we're all human. We all have emotions, and we all have.
Jesus came to ruffle feathers. He ruffled a lot of.
So you're in good company, man. Like, just don't blame the church. Always hold yourself accountable. I think part and point the fingers to you rather than people.
Part of that comes from like everyone just assumes all churches are the same.
Right.
All churches are the same.
Or all people are the same. All Christians are the same.
All them Christians. Do you know how many times I had a conversation? Like, I want to be careful if I say this.
I like how you're using your wisdom. You're getting so good at it.
I'm working on it. Thank you. Talk about getting knocked off my high horse. Let me tell you, I fell flat on my face. I'm sorry. God knocked me flat on my face. It's like that one video of like that one penguin knocked the other penguin over,
smacked him over the head.
Yeah, that was
fell into the ice glacier.
That was me. And so I had this conversation once with with someone who identified as a gay person, and I met him out in public.
Yeah,
just started up a conversation off like an offhand comment. Right. We were just chatting, and then all of a sudden it was just like, oh yeah, like he was like, oh, like what do you blah blah blah, and I'm like, oh yeah, like I do this, and like, oh, I'm part of the church, and he's just like, oh you're one of the Christians,
right? Yeah.
And I was like, and I kind of stopped, and I was like, what happened to you?
Yeah.
I was like, what happened to you? And I got to hear his story, and he kind of opened up about like all the struggles he had to go through, and I kind of just stopped, and I was like, I almost kind of got weepy because I'm like, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Like, you're human. You're God's creation. I'm sorry, dude. I want to apologize on behalf of. It's weird that I feel like I have to apologize for it.
Yeah.
Not because it's like, obviously I still have my stance on certain things, but like, you're still human, bro.
Yeah.
You deserve love. Like you deserve, God loves you. Jesus loves you. Like,
regardless of what.
Regardless of what lifestyle. I'm like, look, dude. I kind of looked at him and was like, bro, like, I guarantee you, I've probably done things 10 times more terrible than you ever have.
Just because your sin looks different doesn't mean that I'm a better person than you.
I'm not gonna sit here and insult you and this and that. I'm just gonna say, dude, I love you. I think God loves you. Like, I don't. But having to like apologize for that. Like, there were many times where like it's like, oh man, I got burned by the church. I'm like, I didn't want to apologize. Like, that's not the heart of every Christian. That's not the heart of Christ.
Yeah.
Like, but again, remember, we're a church. We're made up of people.
Yeah.
People are sinful. People are corrupted. And that doesn't mean don't go to church. I'm not saying that at all. Right? Yeah. But church is also important. Church does a lot of great work. And again, I still believe in the church. I do. Mm-hmm. 120%.
Especially the American church.
Yes.
Because it's safe to say that most of our audience for Kingdom Talks is
America.
Is American.
But that doesn't always. But what our culture does not always apply to those outside.
Yeah. So maybe if you're listening from the UK, you're listening from across the seas. It might be it might not apply to you. But some of the things that
if you listen from Israel, hit me up. I want to talk to you.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And it doesn't necessarily apply. It's not always applicable. But at least you get to see that, man, we're two dudes that are trying too, and we're trying to be the solution and not the problem. And when it comes with
and we're not sitting here complaining.
Yeah,
I don't think have we complained once today.
I mean, I found it to be that I used to complain about entitlement because, like, when I was on the other side, and I was kind of like, okay, well, I'm not entitled anymore because I know what's right. Yeah. I know what I'm doing was wrong, and this, that, and the third. And then I used to just complain about those that I would see that, oh my God, look at this guy, this girl. Why are they? And clearly they have an entitlement issue because some people just, that aura just like pours out of them. And then I just found myself like, why am I?
Why am I bothering with this?
Why am I even talking about them, gossiping about them? And even though I felt like some of the stuff that I was saying about them were true, it's not my place, And so I was like, well, I was there. Yeah. Because I always flip it to me. Yeah. Like, I was like, you know what? But I was there because when I was called out, when I was knocked off my high horse, I was there. And maybe if I engage in dialogue and if I engage in conversation with those people, we can probably meet somewhere in the middle and say, okay, this is where my stance on certain things and how certain things operate in this church. And so I would encourage you to ask questions, ask how our core beliefs come from, where they come from, how do we come about our core beliefs, things like that, like just practical things.
It is okay to question. Yeah. It is okay with that. Like, I even had some conversation with somebody the other day. They were asking, like, oh, like, I don't know if I believe this, but the Bible's true. I'm like, are you questioning it? Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, good. Yeah. Good. Like, it's good to ask questions. I mean, look, there was a time where I actually sat down with Sean and Teresa, like kind of when Anchor first began, and I had concerns. Yeah, I had concerns because I was like, I don't want to kind of fall back into a certain thing. I walked away going like, I'm sold. This is my home.
Yeah, because sometimes you just walk away like, yo, I'm actually glad I had that conversation.
Yeah. and here's the thing, Sean will tell you, I had questions. I was like, about this and this and this and this and this, and he was able to address all of them. It's like, hey, this is at least what we believe. This is at least but he also came at it was like, this is what we believe, and this is how we want the church to be. Right. And it was such a breath of fresh air to be like, right. Like, I'm not being told what I need. It's like because obviously he knew that I had my education, and Teresa was part of that, and so it was nice to have those questions and to have them answered. Right, right. And have them answered in a way that, like, I knew, like, because even Sean knew kind of, like, how I think. I'm much more theologically kind of, like, I'm not saying all too far, but it's just, like,
you're just more theologically sound than other people.
I prefer things on the theological side. It's like, hey, if you can explain it theologically, great. Yeah. And he was able to do that and address it in the way that it's like, I had no more concerns. Right. I had no more concerns. That's why it's like, like, that's why I feel like I can trust Sean, bro, I love you. Like, I trust Sean and Teresa implicitly because I answered, because I asked questions, because I was I had, like I said, I had concerns. Yeah. And I even told him, look, I just need to know. I need to know things because I don't want to be part of a problem and just sit there and complain. It's like, I want to understand. Like, I just want
absolutely. And I think once you have the understanding of where people are coming from, I think you can break through barriers. You can break through walls, because I think when a lot of people are coming from this self entitlement, this sense of entitlement, there's actually walls up when people are.
I don't want to talk to you, bro.
You know what I'm saying? There's actually walls that are up when people are walking. Because that was me. That was me. I when I had a sense of entitlement and I thought I was, the best thing next to sliced bread, bro. Like I thought that I was that guy, and I had these walls up, and I didn't want to hear it from anybody. And that kind of rubbed people the wrong way, and that's why I was knocked off my high horse, and that's how I was humbled, and that's how I was, I managed to accept the fact that, hey, you know what? I need to remember who I serve, the God who I serve, and I remember that the God who I serve came to this world and served, and I need to just.
The first will be last, and the last shall be first.
Yes, sir.
God listen. Let me tell you. Okay, I'm gonna look at the camera when I say this. Let God humble you, because it's the greatest.
Hopefully, we're still recording. Are we still recording?
Okay, good. This would be really embarrassing staring at a camera that's not recording. Let God humble you and be okay with it.
Absolutely.
I'm not even kidding you. And I will fully admit this. Like these past few weeks, have been really, really challenging for me, as you plenty well know.
Yes, I do.
But I mean, I have been humbled. Like, I'm not saying look, I've been humbled, I'm so good now. It's no, I don't deserve anything, and I know I should stay down.
Yeah,
I know that. It's I am lower than dirt. I know that for a fact, and I'm okay with having people over me. I'm okay with not being in charge. I'm okay with not being in those positions.
And it's an incredible thing too, because once you get to that place, God blesses you.
That is where God works. And let me tell you, man,
above and beyond your what you.
Oh man!
And
here's the thing: it's again until you've been knocked down.
Yeah.
You will never understand.
Yeah, for sure.
If you feel I have it all together, and unfortunately, I think even in the church, people kind of feel like they feel like they always have it together. Mm-hmm. I was one of those people, even kind of a couple months ago. I was I kind of still have it together. No, I didn't in any way, shape, or form. And it's been honestly it's been great, and I highly and also get people around you that are willing to tell you.
Yeah.
Keep it 100 and just tell you how it is. I love the fact that I can go to Caleb, I can go to Marco, I can go to I can go to you, I can go to JR. I have these people that's hey, I have this issue.
Yeah.
What's up? And they'll be like, well, you're an idiot.
Yeah.
Whatever needs. I just use those examples because those are the first thing I go to. But
my go-to is yo, I'm praying for you. I'm praying for you. I'm praying, and really I am. I just don't say it just to sound cool. Or anything,
yeah, but you are on the prayer team.
Yeah, so matter of fact, I was praying over a gentleman. Yesterday.
Yep.
By the name of I don't have permission to say his name, but he Pastor Teresa was like, "Hey, can you please talk to him, because she was kind of in the middle. This is literally right after service.
Yeah,
can you please speak to this gentleman, because I have to take care of these people that just gave their hearts to Jesus." Mm-hmm. So he came up to me and literally was bawling out, crying. Turns out that he's going through a divorce, and his life is in shambles. He's not really working, and he's running his own business, and the invoices are just And then I just literally had some, not to spare you the details because we're getting off topic here, but just kind of said some words to him, and I encouraged him, and I just laid hands on him, and I prayed over him, and I got his number, and I told him I was going to get him plugged into to a couple of guys in the church, and because he really wants to be part of something.
Yes.
And he really wants to go to church, and he really wants to be part of a community, and he really wants a sense of belonging, because right now he just feels abandoned by his wife, because his wife was the one that wanted to get divorced, and that he has 2 kids, and it's just a crazy mess. But I told him that in that mess there's a message, and in your test that you're going through, there's a testimony. And storms are not, like Pastor Sean said, storms are not forever. The waves are going to crash, the waves are going to come, but there's a God that you are anchored to that is going to take you to places and spaces that you never dreamed of. So
and then retweet.
So just keep on. And I told him, and bro, after that, he just was smiling. And his eyes were not glassy anymore. His tears dried up, and he said, "Thanks, man. I really needed to hear that." So praise God for that.
Amen.
But that's just literally you humbling yourself, not worrying about. Because I had places to be. Like, I had to pick up my nephew.
Yeah.
Like, right after
you had some responsibilities.
Yeah, I had some responsibilities. But you know what? God was working in me, and I had to be obedient to his nudge. And if I was entitled, if I was my old self, I probably would have avoided that conversation, and I would have just gotten his information, and I would have told him, I'll give it to Austin, and he'll get in touch with you, and he'll email you, and I'll walk away because I'm too good, because I just finished being the stage manager. Because I was actually stage managing that day too, yesterday too. So a lot of things were going on.
Yeah.
And so had I been this prideful guy, this guy with entitlement,
looking down your nose.
Exactly. I probably would have just kind of brushed that guy off and told him what I needed to tell him, and then go about my business. But it's just those powerful moments that you miss out when you don't humble yourself. So I encourage people today to humble yourself, know your role, seek a role, and just be a servant leader. If you call yourself a leader, be a servant leader, and then start there. And God can do so much with your so little. Because again, we're not that good. God is that good, and He just moves how he sees fit. And again, He's the author to our stories, not just in the beginning of our story and our end, but there's a middle in there where He meets us too.
Hey, listen, I'll take a step further. He's the one holding the pen right in the story.
There you go. Amen to that. So with that being said, thank you for listening to another episode of Kingdom Talks.
Yeah,
Rounds of applause. We can actually get a real one.
Yeah,
I don't have to use my.
All right, hold on. I'm a man of my word.
Hey,
you've been good,
but I can use that.
You've been good. He's been good today, so I told him he can come back on. So, what do you want to say to the peoples?
Take your time. Take your time. Take your time. Who do you love? Who do you love? You gotta say it. You gotta say it louder, bro.
Jesus.
Jesus. Let's
Hallelujah.
go.
Hallelujah. Love the Lord.
You see. This is who we are influencing.
This kid. Okay, I'm gonna take a second brag about him.
This is the now generation right here.
He will forever have better hair than I am, and not just because Dad's a barber, but he will forever have better hair than I am, and I'm so jealous of it. But I love this kid to death.
Yeah, we love Isaiah. We love everybody. We love Pedro. Where's Pedro at?
Pedro's hiding in the back though.
Pedro's hiding somewhere. There he is. Love you, bro.
All the bright lights are blinded.
So again, like, share. If you're on YouTube and you're listening to this, hit that notification bell. Share, comment, all that good stuff.
Can I say something?
Check out www.kingdomtalkspodcast.com. Check them out.
Can I just say one thing? Parting little thoughts.
Let's go.
Parting little thoughts.
Let's go. I'm ready. I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Let's go.
I want to be encouraging to someone out there.
Okay.
You are God's creation. You were knitted from the inside out. He put every cell of you together perfectly that way that he needed to put you together.
Yes.
And so never, please, I know you're going to doubt it, but never doubt what God has for you.
Ooh.
You were made perfect. You are a miracle, and God does not abandon His miracles. He keeps them going.
Amen.
He keeps them going, and He will never compromise on that, and He will always have your back. So trust in Him, lean into Him, lean on Him.
Yes.
And humble yourself. We keep saying humble yourself, and just let God do His work, and you will see amazing things happen. It may not be the way you see it. It may not be the way that you think about it. But I'm telling you, when you just lean on Him, things happen. And so be encouraged that you are a beautiful creation.
Right.
You are someone that God is going to use and has a big plan for. Even when you think He can't use you. Yo, dude, I know pastors used to, run drugs for, the cartels. Okay, if He can use them,
He can use you.
He can use me, He can use you.
And He can use me.
Especially this dude. And even him. Didn't even know that.
Yeah. And I mean this when I say this. If you guys are led to reach out to me, I will make myself available like I made myself available for that guy that walked into my face, literally crying yesterday after service. I will make myself available. That is my commitment to y'all. So if you want to reach me, you can again email. You can sign up for the email newsletters at the podcast website at www.kingdomtalkspodcast.com. You can also DM me at kingdomtalks_pod and just reach out. Don't feel ashamed. Don't feel nervous.
If you don't want to talk to him, you can talk to me.
And reach out. I'm here. I'm here for it. If you're even if you're not in South Florida, if you're in California, in Chicago, in New York, wherever, DM me. I will pray over you. I will just listen to you. Listen to your problems, because prayer goes a long way. So I love you guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for viewing or whatever platform you're utilizing. I thank you so much. I am nothing without you.
Thank you, God. Him. Let's go.
Thank you, God. Let's go. Until next time.